Today we're going to talk about the 5034 PointMax IO from Rockwell Automation, which is the replacement for our 1734 IO. Now, typically, I don't get really excited about the latest and greatest, but when I saw this at Rockwell's Automation Fair, I knew right away I needed to get some of it in here because I always joke our training arguably is built on the fact that no vendor is ever going to admit that their product fails. But I think Rockwell has done some really good things to help us as we're replacing these products in the future. And in this case, the future could be today because it is replacement for our 1734 IO, which is 25-ish years old. So this trader right here, a lot of it is about how do we upgrade? How do we migrate to newer technology? And so, yeah, we have the device net, we have the control net. And for the most part, I'm usually talking about how do we get this over to Ethernet and how do we do basic replacements of modules? Well, now we are probably going to start talking about how do we migrate this 1734 setup to this 5034 setup. So I want to highlight a few things. I'm not going to go through all the specifications with you. But first, both are hot swappable. So in the 5034's case, you could just drop that down. You could grab the module, you pop it out. In the 5034's case, you drop the connector down, you grab the module up here, and it pops out. Now, I want to go ahead and address the one thing that several of you brought up, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time, is the 5034 module is wider. So if I check the width on the 1734, it was 11.65 millimeters. The 5034 is 15 millimeters. So it is a wider module. But we used to have a 4-point input module. Now we have a 16-point input module. So you're correct. It is slightly wider, but we have 4 times the IO on this footprint. Our safety modules, they used to be 2 modules wide. Now they're a single module wide. That's a huge space savings. So what I've done here is I have created the exact copy of these two. And we're going to go through setting them up and we're going to go through replacing them because that was the part that I was really impressed with. And then we're going to set them up in Studio 5000. Now, the first thing I want to feature right out of the box, actually, before you get out of the box, is the near field communications, or NFC. And what that allows us to do is set up this module before we even place power on it. So you got 20 of them. You can line 20 up of them in a row, tap them, and set them up. Now, if you're doing it and you have a thick case on your phone, you may have to take the case off of your phone. And let me explain a little bit of why. Coincidentally, I am doing a video about transformers right now, which isn't that much different than NFC. But with the transmitter and the receiver of an NFC both powered up, it takes a minimal signal to actually transmit data across them. Now, just like your credit card, you have to be really close to it. If the device is not powered up, you have to be really close to the NFC also. So to represent our unpowered device, I have a light here. And so as I get close to it, you'll see the light start to light up on it. So we have to get close enough to it that really our phone manages to power up the logic in it. That way it can do the reading and writing. So what I found with mine is I can either have the case on my phone and touch the actual device, or I can take the case out of my phone and I can touch the box, but I can't do both. So let's go ahead and open this up so we see exactly what is happening here. So if I open the box up, you notice right underneath it, there is the NFC symbol. So that's what we're actually touching. That's what it's guiding us to with the box open. I can go ahead and take this on out. I've already downloaded Rockwell's device tools, and you can get it off of Google Play or Apple. And then I'm going to connect at the bottom, and then I'm going to start scanning. And I can just touch the device and it scans it. And that's going to give me all the info on it. And I can set my IP address from there, and we can do a couple other things. But the one thing that really, I think, caught my eye about the NFC is Usually when we're going out to replace a device, the device is dead. That's why we're replacing it. And so then we're like, well, what is the IP address? What is all this? Now, I do not have verification from Rockwell on this, but what I get out of this is that means that if this device is completely dead, chances are the NFC reader still works on it. And so we can pull the IP address off of it and we can put it on the other. So now let's look at what it would look like on a device that was already configured. So we scanned our dead unpowered device and we get that its IP address is 192.168.190. And that information is stored in our phone. So now I'll take our new one and go back into device tools. And I want to connect it, start scanning. And it's set up for DHCP, and this is the way it will come out of the box. But okay, now I'm like, I don't remember what that IP address was. Well, I can hit the back button here, and at the bottom, I see my devices. Here's a list of devices that I've connected to. And so I have 192.168.190 right there. And that would give me the info on what I had. So now let's talk about how we would set it up when it is straight out of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and go to connect. Start scanning, and we'll touch it. And out of the box, it is configured for DHCP. So now I need to configure its IP address. So I'm going to configure IP address, and it's going to ask me some questions to guide me through it. And we are at the default of 999. That is the way it comes. Or you could just say can't tell, product still in box. And it's going to give me some tips on how to do it. I'm just going to click got it. And then we go down here. I'm going to set this one to static. And notice it has my last IP address in it. Very useful feature. And we could do some advanced items there. And what I really want to play with, and yeah, I may have to grab a couple more, is this auto assignment down here. And let's face it, if you have 20 of these in a row, then chances are the first one's at 90, the next one's at 91, the next one's at 92, the next one's at 93. So my understanding with that is you could tap the first one, it would do 90, tap the next one, 91. And so that's going to be a huge time saver. Now, in this case, we're just doing the one, so I'm going to click the OK button to that. And then it says scan to apply. So I'm going to click the scan to apply. I am going to apply the changes. And we just touch it to this one. And that's going to set us up for that. Does warn us, keep those rotary switches at 999. And I go ahead and exit out of that. Now, while I'm here, I should register my product. So I'm going to click register product. And we're going to go ahead and scan the NFC. And we're going to touch that. And it says add to list. I'm going to add that to my list. And we'll just hit continue on it. And we're going to send to register. Then I'll need to sign into my Rockwell account. And I have to admit, I have absolutely never registered a device ever, but Rockwell has given us a great incentive to do this. Instead of a 1-year warranty, you do get a 2-year warranty. Well, it was so easy. Why not do it? So there you go. I need to hit the finish button, finish product registration. And there we go. Now I have registered my first product probably ever in my life. But yeah, they did make it easy enough. And yeah, that way, if there is an issue, hopefully that just smooths out the process of getting support. And the next part that always has been a bit of a nightmare on the 1734 IO is we needed to know the chassis size. And then it was like, okay, well, does the adapter count? Does it not count? How does the 2 slots count? How about the power supply spacers? It's always been a little bit of nightmarish. But one, I'm not bashing them here because remember, this thing's 25 years old. It's like a lot of y'all bash device nut. This was really cool when it came out compared to doing something over a data highway or a DH485. So in this one, we had to know it. And so this did count. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slot chassis. 5034, we don't even need to know it anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build both of these out side by side, the 5034 setup and the 1734 setup. And I am just going to call this our point IO. And I'm using a 5069 L306 ERS2. And mainly since I have those two safety modules, we do need the compact guard logics on that. Then I'm going to run version 37 on this and hit finish. And then we're going to go down to A2 Ethernet because that's where mine are set up at. And we could use the Discover. We're actually going to do a couple of different ways here just so we can talk it out. Let's go ahead and right click A2 Ethernet. And we're going to make new module. And in my filter box, I'm just going to type 5034. And then that's going to get me to this 5034 AENT-R. And R is for redundancy. I probably should have highlighted that earlier, but yes, these do have 2 ports on them, so we can use them in a redundant network such as DLR. So I'm going to create. And I'm going to give it a name of PointMax. And then we're going to enter its IP address in of 192.168.1.90. And if we go down here, notice it's saying a chassis size of 33. I'm just going to leave it just like that. And we're going to go ahead and click the OK. And I'll go ahead and click OK to that one. And then in our filter box, I'm going to type 1734. And in this case, I have the 1734 AENT, and we're going to create that one. And that one, I'm going to call my point IO. And in this case, this one is at 192.168.1.125. Then I was just typing away, not paying attention, and look what I just did. I made that 112.5. I hope I didn't just do that on the other one. Probably need to go back and check it. Which, yeah, how do we check our IP address? If you just mouse over here, it'll tell you what the IP address. Oops, close that out. And so that first one I did put in is 1.90. And now, yes, that one is correct at 1.25. Okay, so now we need to add some modules underneath it. And so we're going to go ahead and make a new module. And then my first module is, well, what is my first module? Let's go look at it. To do that, I'm going to go communications to active. And then I'm going to open up ABETH1. And here is 90. And we open up the back plane of it. And so my first module is an IF4. And if I go down to 125, just so you can see that we're matching all the way. If I open up, whoops, that's 124. We open up 125 and we go on to its backplane. Then its first module is an IE2V. Now, that's not exactly the same module. And here's where it's really cool. As used to, we had a voltage analog input module and we had a current analog input module in the 1734. We just have an analog input module on the 5034 and we can configure it for what we want. So I'm going to right click my backplane, new module, and I'm going to type IF4. And since we're under that 5034, it's already filtering for it. And there is the 5034 IF4. So I'm going to create it. And we'll call this our analog input. And we'll click OK. And we'll hit create. And close. Because now what I want to do is we're going to do the same thing down here on the 1734. We right click it. And oh no, it's grayed out. And this is probably the first call that I usually get from people. They're like, yeah, I was trying to add a 1734 and it's not letting me. Well, notice we made our chassis size 1. Well, here's your only singular module that you can have. And so in this case, we are going to have to go to properties. And then we scroll just a bit down. We can hit the device definition. And we need to change our chassis size to 7. And now, very important, it has to absolutely match on the 1734. Now notice we didn't have to do anything on the 5034. So that's a really great feature they've done. Now we press OK to that. And now we can right click it, new module. And if I type in our IE2V, there's our voltage input module. I'm going to hit create on that one. And I'm just going to call this one my analog input. And I'm just going to put point at the end of it so I know that's the point version. And click OK. And we'll click OK to that. And all right, so now let's go ahead and download this. We have more to build out, but I want to show you some of the other features of the 5034. So I'm going to go communications, who active, and then I'm going to open it up. And I am actually putting this into this PLC right here. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And we'll go ahead and put it back into remote run. And our IO is okay. So both of our modules are happy. Now let's talk about what we could do while they're online. So I'm going to right click my 5034 and I can do new module while I'm online. It does allow us to do that. So we're going to do that with the next one. I'm just going to type OF4. That is the next module on it. Select it and hit create. And I'm going to call this my analog output. And okay. And okay. And here you need to watch out for your environment. Do you want to create this and inhibit it? Or do you want to create it and uninhibit it? So if you click this one, it'll create it, but it won't actually establish the connection. You'll see the little yellow circle over here. If you create it uninhibited, then immediately it's going to start updating that IO. Now we're in the training center, so I'm okay here. So I'm going to create and uninhibit. And immediately that shows up underneath here. So then we go down here to our point IO and oh no, we can't just click new module on it. And if we go over here to discover, parent does not support it. So we're at a dead end here. We are going to have to add these modules offline. But if we go here to our 5034, because yeah, we could continue manually doing new module, but also notice here we have the discover module button. And so this is going to browse that backplane the same way. And notice in this case, our IB16 and our OB16, we can create these on the fly using the discovery. Now, your safety modules, they do not allow you to do that. We're going to manually go offline and do those. But I'm going to hit the create button on this one. And I'm going to call this my discrete input. And I'm going to create uninhibited. And then I'm going to call this one my discrete output. And I'm going to click OK. And click OK to that. And this one I'm going to create and inhibit just so we see what that looks like. And mainly look right over here at this section. As I do that, you're going to see a yellow spot show up here. So create and inhibit. And so, yeah, we got a little pause button over here. And that means that this module is in our configuration, but we didn't actually set it to connect. So I'm going to close this. So on this one, I would need to right click it now, get a properties. And then we want to go to this connection area and we would need to uncheck that inhibit module checkbox. And that would get that one going. But okay, so to complete our point IO down here and to add our safeties to our new 5034 PointMax, we will have to go offline. So I'm going to go communications, go offline. And then on this bottom one, we're going to go ahead and finish building it out. So now we'll go ahead and go communications, who active. It's the right PLC and hit the download button. And then we'll go ahead and put it back into run mode. And oh no, right away, we do have a problem here with our IB8S, OB8S. Uh-oh, we also have a problem down here on this IB8S and this OB8S. And this is normal. So since I already had these configured on another setup and now I just created one, they are owned by that other setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and right click the IB8S and go to properties. And then we're going to go here to the safety area. And we have our ownership here. We're going to reset ownership. And we'll click yes. And then we'll go ahead and click OK to that one. And now its little microscopic yellow triangle is gone. So now we can right click on the OB8S and get its properties. And we'll go down here to safety. And we're going to reset its ownership as well. And that one should go away in just a second. We're going to go ahead and right click on our 1734 safety module. And up here we have a safety tab. And we can reset ownership on it. And we can click OK. And finally, we'll do the safety output on that 1734. And we should get a solid IO light here in just a few seconds. And there we go. So now they are all set up. So now let's talk about their name. This is always a good review. Your name is one indentation to the right of our yellow boxes. So even though we have this one down here named as analog input, if we open up our controller tags, then we have no A's. There's no analog input. This one indentation into the right, it says PointMax. So its name is PointMax. This one indentation into the right is PointIO. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a second copy of our controller tags, which one real quick, easy way to do it is just open your parameters and locals. That gives you 2 copies. There's several ways you can do this. And I'm going to go up there. So now I have 2 copies of. Now I'm going to grab this one. We're going to drag it over this way. And so now what we want to do is we're going to look at our PointMax IO over here on the left side. This is our 5034 IO compared to our PointIO over here on the right. Just we can talk about a few differences. So on our first slide, we had our analog input, and we open it up. Channel 0, 1, 2, 3. We open this one up. It's all still there. It's a little less grouped together. So they've done some nice grouping for us, but you're going to find that all the info is still here. And similarly, we go to PointMax 2:0, channel 0, 1, 2, 3. And we do it over here. All the info is there. You have to open up a little more to get there, but it's all here. And honestly, I think it's very intuitive to switch between the 1734 and the 5034 as far as that part goes. I am going to break out the rest of this into some individual videos because there are some particulars that we need to be aware of, and actually some really exciting things I want to play with the 5034. And so we're going to talk through some of converting our analogs over scaling wise and all that good stuff. We'll talk a little bit about the safety conversion, and you notice where you have another chassis setup over here. And even in this initial release, I was really impressed with the number of modules that came out with that. So we have our thermocouple modules here. We have IO-Link, which I'm really excited to play with. We have encoder modules. And so we're going to pop out some individual videos on the rest of this. And you can find a playlist right here with some of those.